the 5th. The Beaver's Lesson. They sought it with thimbles, they sought it with care, they pursued it with forks and hope. They threatened its life with a railway share, they charmed it with smiles and soap. Then the butcher contrived an ingenious plan for making a separate sally, and had fixed on a spot unfrequented by man, a dismal and desolate valley. But the very same plan to the Beaver occurred, it had chosen the very same place. Yet neither betrayed by a sign or a word the disgust that appeared in his face. Each thought he was thinking of nothing but Snark and the glorious work of the day, and each tried to pretend that he did not remark that the other was going that way. But the valley grew narrow and narrower still, and the evening got darker and cold, till nearly from nervousness, not from goodwill, they marched along shoulder to shoulder. Then a scream, shrill and high, rent the shuddering air, and they knew some danger was near. The Beaver turned pale to the tip of its tail, and even the butcher felt queer. He thought of his childhood left far behind, that blissful and innocent state. The sound so exactly recalled to his mind a pencil that squeaks on a slate. "'Tis the voice of the Jub-Jub," he suddenly cried, "this man that they used to call Dunce. As the bellman would tell you," he added with pride, "I have uttered that sentiment once. 'Tis the note of the Jub-Jub, keep count, I entreat, you will find I have told it you twice. 'Tis the song of the Jub-Jub, the proof is complete, if only I've stated it thrice." The Beaver had counted with scrupulous care, attending to every word, but it fairly lost heart and outgrabe in despair when the 3rd repetition occurred. It felt that, in spite of all possible pains, it had somehow contrived to lose count, and the only thing now was to rack its poor brains by reckoning up the amount. 2 added to 1, if that could but be done, it said with one's fingers and thumbs, recollecting with tears how in earlier years it had taken no pains with its sums. "The thing can be done," said the butcher, "I think. The thing must be done, I am sure. The thing shall be done, bring me paper and ink, the best there is time to procure." The Beaver brought paper, portfolio, pens, and ink in unfailing supplies, while strange creepy creatures came out of their dens and watched them with wondering eyes. So engrossed was the butcher he heeded them not, as he wrote with a pen in each hand, and explained all the while in a popular style, which the Beaver could well understand. Taking 3 as the subject to reason about, a convenient number to state, we add 7 and 10, and then multiply out by 1000, diminished by 8. The result we proceed to divide, as you see, by 990 and 2. Then subtract 17, and the answer must be exactly and perfectly true. The method employed I would gladly explain, while I have it so clear in my head. If I had but the time, and you had but the brain, but much yet remains to be said. In one moment I've seen what has hitherto been enveloped in absolute mystery, and without extra charge I will give you at large a lesson in natural history. In his genial way he proceeded to say, forgetting all laws of propriety, and that giving instruction without introduction would have caused quite a thrill in society. As to temper the jubjub's a desperate bird, since it lives in perpetual passion. Its taste in costume is entirely absurd, and it ages ahead of the fashion. But it knows any friend it has met once before, it never will look at a bribe. And in charity meetings it stands at the door and collects, though it does not subscribe. Its flavour when cooked is more exquisite far than mutton or oysters or eggs, and some think it keeps best in an ivory jar, and some in mahogany kegs. You boil it in sawdust, you salt it in glue, you condense it with locusts and tape, still keeping one principal object in view, to preserve its symmetrical shape. The butcher would gladly have talked till next day, but he felt that the lessons must end, and he wept with delight in attempting to say he considered the beaver his friend. While the beaver confessed with affectionate looks, more eloquent even than tears, it had learned in 10 minutes far more than all books would have taught it in 70 years. They returned hand in hand, and the bellman unmanned, for a moment with noble emotion, said this amply repays all the wearisome ways we have spent on the billowy ocean. Such friends as the beaver and butcher became, have seldom, if ever, been known. In winter or summer 'twas always the same, you could never meet either alone. And when quarrels arose, as one frequently finds quarrels will, spite of every endeavour, the song of the jubjub recurred to their minds, and cemented their friendship for ever.